Yes, thankfully it's tethered. So station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the start of the event?
We are ready for the start of the event.
KGO-TV, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is KGO-TV. Do you hear me?
TV, we hear you. Loud and clear, space station. Over.
That's great. So I guess I start. The first question is for Dawn. You were in space 6 months and now since December. So tell us what it's like to be up there for that long.
It's the difference between going on a sabbatical and going on a vacation. If you do a short space flight, like a shuttle space flight, you're up there for maybe 2 weeks on a mission. That's a long mission, and that's kind of like the same amount of time as what you take for a vacation. Even though there's a lot of work, it's not a vacation. Staying up here for 6 months at a time, you get to really know the feel of the place. You get acclimated to the weightless environment, and you can really roll up your sleeves and get some work done.
And it sounds like you have done just that. We want to see and hear all about your zero-G coffee cup.
I just happen to have it available here, and I've already put a little tea in this one, and I'm going to hand it to Andre. And the key to these kinds of cups and weightlessness is to move slowly. And now I'm going to put a little tea in mine. And a normal cup, of course, will not work in a weightless environment. The liquid would just stay in the bottom of the cup. And then when you move the cup, the liquid would splash out and make a mess. But this cup, because of its shape, and it has a cross-section kind of like an airplane wing, and that acute angle makes a channel where capillary forces will move the fluid up that channel and just park it next to the lip. And then the shape of the meniscus controls the liquid so you can move it around and not splash. So now you could just put your lips up here on the lip and you could take a sip. So Andre and I will just do a little toast. Let me get back into place. Oh. So these cups, even though you wouldn't drink out of these cups all the time, but we're up here for many holidays and other occasions, and it's kind of nice to be able to drink in a manner that's not unlike what human beings are used to drinking on Earth when we go into a weightless environment, where we don't have to suck all our fluids out from a bag through a straw.
10-4 on that. Next question's for Andre. So you, they say, dreamed of being an astronaut since you were a teenager, but you went to medical school? Why that?
Well, actually, it has the same origin. I got some science fiction books from my grandmother, and in there were also some planets where they did a lot of biochemical research, very futuristic. So it had the same source as the dream to become an astronaut. And astronauts come from all disciplines. They're the technicians, the engineers, the pilots, medical doctors, scientists. So actually, it's not such a strange choice.
And with that background, what have you learned, or what are you looking to learn about, like, the human body and how it can endure space missions and long space missions like this?
Yeah, of course, the human body is not really made to be in this condition. We have to deal with several short-term issues, like a fluid shift, especially in the beginning of the flight, space motion sickness, and then later on we have problems with muscle loss and bone loss, and with radiation. And these are very challenging topics. How to deal with those? We are training a lot to keep the bone mass in order, and these are things that we can also use for people on ground. The population is growing older and older, so this might be very useful information.
And I like to add a little bit to that. Life evolved on Earth with all kinds of changing environments. Temperatures changed, pressures changed, the chemical environment changed, acid, base, except gravity. Gravity has been held constant for billions of years, as if we have evolved in the tenderest of incubator. And now, by going into an orbital environment, we can reduce the magnitude of the local gravity by a factor of 1,000,000. And this gives an amazing laboratory environment to study life itself and how it operates. It's a new experimental knob to vary. And the fact that a complex organism like a human being can come here where we've changed an environmental factor by 1,000,000 and we can still basically operate, I find to be amazing.
One more quick question for Andre, and then I want to ask you both about the mission to Mars. But, well, Andre, two things. One, can you pronounce your last name for me so I get that correct? And also, it sounds like you're going to be up there longer than expected. A little technical hiccup with your return.
Yeah, first, my name is Kuipers, which in English would be Cooper. Well, it's indeed a bit longer. It's 6 weeks longer, but actually 3 weeks because we launched with a 3 weeks delay. And yeah, it's so special up here. I don't mind to stay a bit longer.
Okay, and then you can each answer this, but it looks like because of budget cuts, the Obama administration is saying no to the mission to Mars for 2016 and 18. A lot of scientists are disappointed. How do you feel?
Actually, I haven't been following the politics since I've been up here, and I've heard a little bit about this, but I haven't really read any of the details about what's going on. So I'm going to have to plead ignorance to the details of this. I do think that doing creative and far-reaching exploration is a metric for how viable your society is. Viable societies that are setting the pace for what's happening in the world, these societies are the kind that explore. And so this is a facet of American culture that we do not want to lose. We do not want to stop exploring.
Andre, it's not your budget, I realize, but do you find exploration on Mars to be important?
Well, actually, a lot of these missions are international, and also for the European Space Agency, of course, the cancellations of programs where ESA is involved are, of course, a disappointment. But I'm pretty sure that this is all temporarily, because we will continue to explore the universe, and be it nationally or internationally. So I'm optimistic, and I'll see these missions in the future happening for sure.
Gentlemen, those are all of my questions for you. This has been really cool and amazing for me. I appreciate it. Anything else you want to add or say?
The International Space Station is an amazing place to work and explore, and it's very much on the frontier, much like explorations of centuries past. And people may not think about space as being a frontier, but it really is. The answers are not in the back of the book, and we discover things that we can't just look in the back of the book and figure out what's going on. We have to go, and sort out the solution ourselves, and it really doesn't get any better than that. when you're living on a frontier. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why we go to frontiers, is to learn new things. So space station, it's an amazing place to be. It's something we should all be proud of.
Last thoughts, Andre?
Yeah, well, I'm here now for half a year, and it's really a place that I could be longer even. It's a special place, an international place, which is very nice to work with all the different nationalities here and all the different ground stations. And this is something I like very much. We are now in low Earth orbit, and I hope really in the future that this kind of missions beyond our Earth orbit will also be international.
Gentlemen, thank you both very much. You stay safe up there, okay?
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the KGO-TV portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from ABC Radio Network.
Hello, station. This is ABC Radio News in Washington, D.C. My name is Andy Field. Do you read me?
ABC Radio in Washington, D.C. Andy, we read you loud and clear.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for taking time to talk with us. Reading about and watching what you do there is fascinating to many folks on Earth. And in the United States, many people don't realize the value of what you are doing there. Can you explain, Dr. Kuipers and Dr. Pettit, can you explain to folks here on Earth who are facing tremendous budget problems why it is what you're doing is so important to those of us here on Earth?
Yes, well, spaceflight it's not something that is standing alone. What we're doing here is research that is done by institutes and universities on ground. These scientists are doing all kind of research that brings us further, that gives us more knowledge and technical applications. And some of the aspects of their research can only be done in microgravity conditions, and that's why we have this fantastic facility up here to support all these scientists on the ground. So it's not something that is people that are only doing space research. It's part of their general research, which gives us all this extra knowledge and applications.
And I'd like to add to that. About the value of doing research. Much of research in the here and now does not give you a tangible result. The result doesn't come forth for maybe 5, 10, 15 years in the future, sometimes even more. It's like planting trees. You plant this little seedling and you don't get any shade for 20 years. And research is much like that. Another aspect, we're exploring. We're living and working in a frontier unlike any other place on the planet. And exploring as a society, I think, is as a metric for the viability of your country. When countries decide they don't want to explore anymore, when they focus all their resources on themselves, for themselves in the here and now, that sets you in a different category than societies and countries that continue to explore. And you can look at the history of what's happened on planet Earth, and you can see which countries are defining what's going on, and these countries continue to explore. So we need to continue to explore. Space in this epoch of time happens to be the premier frontier.
This question for Dr. Pettit: how is the fact that we no longer have space shuttle flights coming to you, that you have to rely on other countries, how has that affected what you do on the space station? Are there any concerns about that, and do you see that changing soon?
We're reliant on the Russian space vehicle Soyuz now to get crews up and down from space station. And so they are the ones that run that program, and they're the ones that when there's a technical issue, they have to be the ones that solve it. And so we stand by and wait for them to figure out what the issues are. So if you don't have your vehicle, then you can't call the shots anymore. It's sort of like if you have a colony across the ocean, but you don't have any ships, but you want to maintain the colony, you have to rely on those that have the ships. And we, as America, are in the process of making a new vehicle, which is a real good thing. It's unfortunate that we stopped flying the old vehicle before we had a new vehicle operational, and I understand some of the reasons for that, and it is what it is. So we will have another vehicle sometime in the future, and when we do, it will add to the robustness of our space program.
Gentlemen, for both of you, when we were all children in the 60s and 70s, we were just energized by the space program. Now you are doing this research, and some of it's extraordinary, but people don't know what it is, and NASA is a little more out of the public eye. How do you get that excitement back for students, for children, for people in this country, so that they buy into the exploration?
Well, one thing, I don't think the excitement is gone, particularly when you talk to children. More children now want to be astronauts and President of the United States. And kids, in particularly, are really excited about space. So when I talk to kids anywhere from K through university level, they all want my job. And of course, I tell them you have to study math and engineering and science if you want to do my job. And you can still see that there are some bright eyes in the audience. So I don't think the enthusiasm for the younger generation has waned at all. One thing I will say, space station is a laboratory. We're doing science, and science in the process of being done is sort of boring. It's kind of like watching a writer sitting at his typewriter typing up his latest novel. It goes pretty slow, and you read a little bit over your shoulder, and you don't quite figure out what the story is, and it's kind of boring. However, when the novel gets written, then it can be exciting and captivate your attention. And science is a lot like that. In the process of doing things, like this morning, I was doing combustion experiments, and we were working on flames, and if you watch the video of that, it'd put you to sleep. But if you look at the science behind it, it's really, really exciting to look at what happens with combustion in a weightless environment. So when the story's told, it'll be exciting, but the process, it's boring.
Well, can I follow up with that and ask you a question about the isolation of being on the space station? You are looking at this beautiful Earth every day out your window, and yet you can't touch it, and you have to wait months to get back to it. How do you deal with that?
Well, actually, you're not so isolated. We are in constant contact with the ground, be it on the professional level, of course, with Houston and Huntsville and the other centers, but also on a private level, we can talk with our families. We can make our phone calls, and we even have video contact, so we can see the families once per week. So I don't feel isolated at all. I feel really connected to the planet, although I'm out of it. So I can easily switch my mind, and I can feel that I'm really outside the planet and in space, and the next moment I can feel very attached to the beautiful planet down below or above, depending on how I look out of the window.
And Dr. Pettit, how do you deal with the isolation of being away from your family?
Actually, I agree with Andre. We don't feel like we're isolated up here. We don't feel like there's any form of isolation, because we we're in constant contact with the ground. I send emails to my boys and my wife every day, and we have video conferences. We've got an internet telephone, and we can call whenever we have the right kind of KU band coverage. So I don't really feel isolated. I felt more isolated when I spent 2 months in Antarctica than I do here on the space station.
And gentlemen, I've always wanted to ask this question of astronauts. What is it like to be weightless all the time? And can you show us how fun it is?
Oh, being weightless is one of the enjoyable aspects of being up here. It's something that you can't do on the surface of Earth. Being weightless is just out of this world.
Now, that's definitely something you cannot do on the planet here. Dr. Kuipers, how does it feel?
It's really a pleasure to be weightless. And it makes your space station 4 times as big, because your eyes are the dominant factor. So whatever you look at, that's the ground. Meaning that if you want a change of scenery, you just take another place, and then you have a new space station. It's really nice.
So what is next for the space program here? What is it that people here in the United States who are, again, dealing with the original question about budgets can get excited about and say, wow, this is something we're going to look forward to?
Part of it is just we have a program to reap the rewards. You got to roll up your sleeves and do a lot of detailed work, and that's what we're doing right now in terms of the science on space station. And the space program is not about entertainment. It's not really about wowing the public. The space program itself is about exploration. It's about advancing our knowledge, and sometimes this comes very slow. And like I said before, sometimes it can be a bit on the boring side. So I think the fundamental thing to plant in your mind is the space program is not about entertainment, and there are aspects about the space program that are entertaining. There are aspects about the space program that hold your interest, but the fundamental purpose is to do this detailed exploration, this detailed advancement of our knowledge, whether it's in low Earth orbit like we're doing now, or whether it's going back to the moon, or going to Mars, or doing a near-Earth object like an Earth-crossing asteroid. It doesn't matter. These are all aspects of exploring space, and there's all kinds of benefits and knowledge to be gained by doing these, and the process is going to be slow, and sometimes it'll be exciting, sometimes it'll be boring, but the purpose is not about entertainment.
Doctors, thank you so much for your time, for talking to ABC Radio News. We appreciate it, and be safe there.
It's been a pleasure. You've asked really good questions. I appreciate you and your listeners taking an interest in our space program.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
Thank you, KGO-TV and ABC Radio Network. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.